Hey everybody, Brambleheart here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about Multiverse of Madness and what we really could have gotten in, well, another universe. So, if you didn't know about the hectic production of this movie, it wasn't just COVID that messed a lot of things up. You see, in early 2020, like in January, it was announced that the original director, Scott Derrickson, who directed the first Doctor Strange movie, was going to step down and cited creative differences as a main key. There already had been a script written, however, it was reworked once Derrickson stepped down, and the new director, Sam Raimi, stepped up. This script caused a lot of changes from the original version, and for a while we didn't really know too much about what was going to happen, besides maybe a few bits of concept art. But lately there have been a few drops that really put together the puzzle of what Multiverse of Madness really could have been, and even though I really enjoyed the movie, I kinda would have rather seen this one. Now, Scott Derrickson has already a lot of experience directing Doctor Strange. He's familiar with the comics, the character, and the symbolism of what makes him him. This is why the first Doctor Strange was such a good adaptation of the story, besides maybe a few minor issues. With Multiverse of Madness, it was supposed to expand on the world of Doctor Strange, including more villains from his comics and his side of the Marvel Universe, well, multiverse. But Marvel had other plans, that is, incorporating this into the Multiverse saga. Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be our first big introduction to the universe. It was supposed to release before What If, and around the same time as the Loki series. It was also supposed to release before Spider-Man No Way Home. So it really was supposed to be our first exposure to the Marvel Multiverse, and they wanted to do it in a big way, which meant that they sacrificed a lot of the aspects that would make it a Doctor Strange movie. So, what would have happened? Well, for starters, Wanda wouldn't have been a villain for the most part. Wanda was actually supposed to help Doctor Strange, have the two magic users team up. But in the end, she would eventually be corrupted by the Darkhold and make a bad choice. However, it actually would have worked better with her character from WandaVision, because in WandaVision, Wanda kind of learned from her mistakes and decided not to really make bad choices. However, in our version of Multiverse of Madness, she kind of reverts back almost immediately. In this version of Multiverse of Madness, she would have continued to self-improve in helping Doctor Strange. However, she couldn't quite get the thought of having her children back out of her head, and kind of reverted back once she had a big opportunity and unfortunately relapsed in her bad habits. Doctor Strange would have had variants as well in this one, that being Nightmare. In the comics, Nightmare is an interdimensional being, and what he does is he roams in the dream dimension, which basically means that every time you have a dream, you go into the dream dimension. Nightmare controls the nightmare realm, which is, well, where you get nightmares from. So every time you get a nightmare, it's Nightmare. While in the comics, Nightmare is his own entity. In Scott Derrickson's version of Multiverse of Madness, Nightmare was going to be a Doctor Strange variant. Kind of similar to Sinister Strange, as Nightmare was corrupted by the Darkhold. And this version of Doctor Strange is the reason why people get nightmares. Now, I see how this could have plugged into Sinister Strange once things have changed, as Sinister Strange haunted the dreams of his variants by killing them. So I see how it was changed a bit, but it's really interesting that they had this idea for Nightmare. And for a while, Nightmare was pretty much leaked to be in Doctor Strange 2. It was pretty much a given, and then things changed. Another interesting thing that was going to happen was the death of Wong. Wong was, at the time, the Sorcerer Supreme, having obtained the role in Doctor Strange's absence during the blip. In this version, Wong would have been decapitated and died permanently, kind of leaving the room for Doctor Strange to become the Sorcerer Supreme again, and kind of also paralleling the death of the Ancient One in the first movie. This would have been a controversial role and story choice, because Wong was kind of being built up to be a bit of a thread that pulled the MCU together. He's kind of becoming the Multiverse Saga Phase 4 version of Nick Fury almost, appearing in literally everything, which is very interesting, and he's becoming more and more beloved, and the choice would have been controversial, along with the choice of Doctor Strange being Nightmare. However, in the realm of Marvel MCU plot twists for people expecting comic accuracy, it isn't too bad. Honestly, there's probably been worse, like MODOK. So, another thing that was going to happen was exploring more about Doctor Strange's character. That being his backstory before he became a surgeon. One of the things that was going to be explored was the death of his sister Donna. This was a passing mention in Multiverse of Madness, when our Doctor Strange was trying to prove to Sinister Strange that he wasn't an imposter. In the other version of Multiverse of Madness, that one we didn't get, Donna Strange's death would have been actually shown, and I believe he even had some stuff for filming. Another interesting fact is that they were going to put that in the first movie, but it got cut, presumably to put it in the sequel. It probably would have manifested in ways of a nightmare, from, well, the nightmare variant of Strange. But it never happened, and that's twice that her death hasn't really been focused on, which, I mean, they might do it maybe next time he appears, because we know about her existence, so she's not some random obscure character. Another interesting thing is America Chavez. America Chavez was always going to be in the movie. And instead of Wanda initially trying to steal Chavez's power, Wanda was going to act as kind of like a mentor figure to Chavez instead of Strange. But this was scrapped when Wanda became a villain. There's other things that would have changed, some of which I just don't have time to mention, and even others that we still don't know about. But there's probably a lot more that make it revealed. So, what are your thoughts? Which version of Multiverse of Madness do you prefer? The one we got, or the one we could have gotten? Do you want them to release Multiverse of Madness Scott's version? Let me know, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye!